looking at 2nd and 10 now. This has been the roughest the Evangel offense has had it in quite a number of weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Going back to last year, probably. Play action fake, and Skeens falls down. Falls down back in the 47-yard line.
The last loss they took, Rob, well, the William Jewell game, really, they played well on, but not counting that one, the last really bad loss that they took was that Tarkio game, but even then, you really didn't have the sense that they were taken like this.
A flag was thrown on the tail end of the play, and it's against the Crusaders.
That's unsportsmanlike.
So apparently somebody said something as they were walking away. Well, you take a look at last year. Last year, the Crusaders lost to Tarkio in homecoming, which was on the 20th, and they beat Mid-American Nazarene and Culver Stockton and lost to William Jewell. So, yeah, it was the homecoming loss a year ago against Tarkio, in which the Crusader offense, well, really the entire team, just had a very tough time, and that's the same thing that happens here today has happened here today. Loss to William Jewell, there was nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, especially the way that they lost. It was an awesome game.
Oh, yeah. Best game best game in 4 years that we've seen the Crusaders play, perhaps with the exception of the comeback at Missouri Valley that first year in '88. Skeens is going to go long. Ray is there, but so's the double team defensively, and the pass is incomplete. Back there was the safety, James Booker, and he was easily able to knock it down, and that'll bring up 4th down.
Well, the gift of the first down turns out to be more of a curse because they went backwards. They went backwards a good 20 yards after they got the gift. A penalty that they didn't need, an unsportsmanlike, and now they're in a punting situation, a much worse situation punting than they were the first time.
Snap is low, but Harder's able to get a hold of it and send a high spiraling kick. Fair catch called for by Ike Crawford. He fumbled the football. Who's got it? The Vikings have it at the 32-yard line, a 36-yard punt. So Missouri Valley will have the football with 11 minutes and 19 seconds left to go in the ballgame. Missouri Valley looks like it's about 10 minutes away from picking up its first win under new head coach Greg Perdun. Freitas will pitch it back to Whitley. He's to the 35, make it the 36-yard line as he goes around the end and picks up his customary 4 or 5 yards on first down.
Rob, I think they might have altered their offensive attack just a little bit because we really haven't seen that much of an option game, and the quarterback has not really played that much of an option type of game. They've pretty much just gone to Whitley and Robinson, either with a 3-back formation or just out of the power I set. And those guys have just powered their way for good yardage. They've had a hard time stopping them. Really, Freitas has not been running wild and trying a number of pitch plays. He's done that several times, but not really predominantly.
Well, these are all option plays, and he falls forward for a couple of more yards.
That was one.
That was an option play, but when you get a 24-7 lead, you don't want to run the option wide and take a chance on throwing it on the ground, but they did early on.
But really, the most impressive aspect of the offense was Whitley. That was just kind of straight up the middle, nothing that fancy.
I'm going to disagree with you. I think the most impressive part of Missouri Valley's offense today has been those 5 guys on the offensive line.
That's true, yeah. I have to agree with you with that because that's what's opened everything up.
They have dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. Here's a pitch back to Whitley, and he's going to get hit behind the line. Greg Evenson there to knock him down for a loss of a couple, and the defense is getting the ball back now for the offense, but right now, offensively, the Crusaders are just having a tough time getting it started today. 3 plays and out for the Vikings in a punting situation again.
That's the second or third time they've been 3 downs and out, or at least not able to sustain anything.
And the punt is blocked. The block is picked out of the air by Gavin Miller, and he's going to take it in for the score. So the special teams comes up with a big play, and Gavin Miller gathers in the block and takes it home. So with 9:25 to go, it's now a 10-point game if Chris Knowles can add the extra point.
There was the big play that will hopefully get the Crusaders going. They can pull to within 10 if they get the PAT.
9:25 left to go in the ball game. Knowles has added one so far today. He knocks the other one wide to the left. So with 9:25 to go, it's an 11-point game, 24-13. The Vikings have the lead, and we'll be back with a kickoff in 30 seconds. The extra point kick was wide by Chris Knowles. So it's 24-13. And basically, you're going to need 2 touchdowns. You're still in the same boat, but a field goal and a touchdown would have gotten you tied up.
And a field goal a little bit easier to come by, especially when you're Evangel's offense today, and Knowles having a very strong leg. Has had a long of 50, but that time did not get it through the uprights.
The Vikings are perhaps looking for the onside kick. The Crusaders were over near their coaches for quite a while. And let's see what they do. Chris Knowles is going to squib kick it. It's going to bounce around, and Crawford's going to take it on the 21. He brings it out to the 30, 35, and he's going to be flipped at the 38-yard line, and that's where the Vikings will have the football, first down and 10. A 17-yard return of that kickoff by Ike Crawford.
But you have to like the Evangel defense in this situation. They have held about every occasion. They'll need to do it again.
Well, they got 3 plays and a punt last time, and then the special teams blocked the punt, and Gavin Miller took it in for the touchdown. And the Crusaders with 9 minutes and 19 seconds with which to figure out how to score 12 points and win this game. Out of the I formation, Calvin Freitas making his second collegiate start, gets away from one man. He's going to throw long down the field, and the pass is going to get caught at the 25. A flag is down. It's going to be pass interference against the Crusaders, and it'll be declined as they take it inside the 20 to the 15.
Didn't know where the ball was, Rob.
That's twice today. That last touchdown pass they got, they didn't know where the ball was either.
Yeah.
That's twice today. And this time the gain goes for 48 yards. I'll be really surprised if it goes pass interference against the offense. It's defensive pass interference, and that'll be declined. Unless you get to tacking on to the end of the pass play. That's, I guess, the story, the parallel that is drawn there could be of the college basketball program that gets put on probation to the NCAA for cheating, and they still can't win. Because that time you had the defender, I think it was Rodney Burns, who was caught for pass interference, and the guy still caught the ball. I mean, if you're going to...
still got away from him.
Exactly. A reminder, you're listening to Evangel College Football on KLFJ Radio, Springfield, Missouri. So the big pass play gives the Vikings the ball on the 15-yard line, and they're looking for another touchdown. Freitas looked like he was trying to pitch the ball off, and then he was looking for somebody to hand it to. And whereas in the first half, he just threw the ball down on the turf. With an extra half of football under his belt, he wisely decided to hang on to that one and take the big loss back to the 23-yard line.
He turned around as if to pitch, and there was nobody there. Nothing for him to really do with it, except for the 8-yard loss.
8.5 minutes to go in the ball game. High formation. It's third down and long, or second and long, and now it's third and long because Freitas decides to run the option play and gets tackled for a loss back at the 25. Actually, they're going to give him right back to the line of scrimmage, and you're still looking at third down and 20 now. Third and 20 for the Vikings.
And they're still in field goal range, so they could put the Crusaders more than 2 possessions away, I believe. And now we have a timeout as an injured Viking player is down.
That's the quarterback, Freitas, who is down along the far side. And he is going to be helped up and off the field, and that would probably bring, if what we're told is correct, Clarence Washington into the ball game, or Clarence Hawkins into the ball game at the quarterback spot. Richard Serta, the junior who started the year, now he comes in. So we were given misinformation. They said Hawkins was going to be their number 2 quarterback. I don't think so.
He's in there, but he's in it as a wideout.
So Richard Serta, the guy who started the season at quarterback for the Vikings, is in. And he's going to drop back to pass, and he gets nailed back at the 32-yard line. Now that may have put them back out of field goal range, though Hunt hit one from 51 yards earlier with the wind. And he'll be looking at about a 47-yarder. So you don't know if he's going to try a field goal or if he's going to try and punt the ball. His last punt was blocked, and they're going to take a crack at what would be a 48-yard field goal straight away.
They're in midfield. Yeah, that's right.
7 minutes left to go in the ball game. The ball is down. The kick is going to be no good, wide to the left. So after giving up the big pass play, the defense holds. But the offense has just 6 minutes and 57 seconds to score 2 touchdowns. But however, all you need to do is complete 1 pass with this offense. That's the beauty of it. It's frustrating to watch sometimes when the timing is not there, but when this offense clicks, it's a thing of beauty to watch. And all John Skeens needs to do is get on target for about the last 7 minutes. See if he can win this ball game. He's going to slip it to Monroe, and Monroe's going to get tackled about 5 to 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage. He was thrown all the way back at the 20. Fortunately, forward progress will cause him to only lose 5 yards. They're in the 8th inning at Candlestick Park. The Giants with a 4-0 lead over the Dodgers in the 8th inning, so that could wrap things up for the Atlanta Braves. And the Braves trying to win it as well. They're in the, 7th inning? And they lead Houston 5-2. Things will be wild on Peachtree Street tonight if the Braves win. Skeens to pass. He's going to set up, fire over the middle, and it's not going to be over the middle. It's going to be down the sidelines. And Gavin Jones was the intended receiver, and he played defensive back as he knocked that ball away from Booker, the safety.
I believe it was Jones, the player that was kind of at the hash mark downfield. I thought he was looking for him too, Rob, because I thought maybe that either he threw to the outside of him because he cut to the inside, or he threw away from where Gavin Jones was cutting. Jones was cutting toward the sideline, and the pass went inside of him, and Jones had to leap and knock it away. Sort of in between the two, but more toward Jones.
So it's 3rd and 13. Out of the shotgun. Vikings show blitz, but they're going to drop back. Now they do send a linebacker, and Skeens gets away, tucks it, tried to run, and then ended up getting just a yard. By the time he faked it and then pulled it down and started to run, that allowed the defense time to recover, and that'll bring up 4th down and a punting situation.
That was Tom Kendall, the inside linebacker that came in there, Rob. I think he was stepped in, then stepped back, and then came flying in, found a gap to go to shoot through. Flushed the quarterback, made him scramble forward, and only got a yard, as you said, in a punting situation.
So Harder will kick it away from about his own 15. We're going to see flags fly, and there was some motion on the... Well, it turns out to be on both sides of the football, and the Crusaders are going to get caught for procedure.
Yeah, they always hit the offense with that if there's motion either way. But I did see the Viking player jump and make contact, but you push it back 5 yards and we'll try it again.
So Harder will stand inside his 10. Snap is true. The Vikings are going to peel back and go for the return. It's a low kick, and it's caught by Thierno Johnson at the 48-yard line. And he falls forward to midfield, and another scuffle breaks out after a 28-yard punt from Chris Harder.
And both sides doing a decent job of at least breaking those up before they get too much out of hand.
First and 10, the ball on the 49-yard line. And Richard Serta, the quarterback, and he's going to turn and hand the ball off to Whitley, and he'll take it into Crusader territory at the 48-yard line.
2024 Whitley, carrier by Vikings. Stop made by number 50, Evenson.
It's been a long, tough afternoon here at the Plaster Sports Complex. 5 minutes to go in the ball game, and the Vikings have pretty much wrapped up, barring a miracle rally at the end by the Crusaders, their first win of the year. And Evangel will go to 3-2 and lose the conference opener. Serta's going to hand the ball to Whitley on the draw, and he'll get down to the 45-yard line. That'll be a gain of about 3 more yards.
Be awfully tough. A tough road game next week at Graceland, Rob. Again, our broadcast will start at 1:10 for a 1:30 kickoff. Then looking down the road, a road test at William Jewell. They've struggled early, but that's going to be a tough road game.
Stop made by number 99, Alex.
Crusaders will host Baker later on. That a tough one as well. It is tough to get off the conference season started on this sort of a note. You'd like to at least give yourself a little bit of breathing room at the top. Instead, you're going to have to fight from behind all the way. You're going to have to play awfully well 5 weeks in a row.
Out of the I formation, Whitley will get the pitch. On third down, he's going to fight his way to the 40, and that'll be good for a first down. Yeah, I'm sure the coaches told the players all this week that the Vikings were a much better team than their 0-4 record would indicate. But then again, the coaching staffs traditionally always say things like that about their next opponent. 9 times out of 10, you'll ask just about any college football coach in America, and regardless of whether or not they've played the number 1 team in the country the week before, their next opponent is the best team they'll see all season. And sometimes players don't necessarily believe that, and it looks like today might have been one of those cases. The Vikings come in fired up, and they have taken it to Evangel. Whitley will take the call on first down. A flag is thrown, and Whitley is going to get inside the 35 and out of bounds at the 34.
Rob, remember this team was ranked number 1 a year ago, had a very good season, and even though they've had to practically clean house, there's still a number of those very outstanding players that were there a year ago. Even though there's a new coaching staff and a new system, you still have to give the Vikings a lot of respect, or they're going to do this type of thing to you, because still a number of good football players on this team, still a number of players that know how to win, but they really haven't shown what they can do the first 4 weeks of the year.
Well, I think I hearken back to a statement we made in the first quarter, or at least that I made, and that is, of the 4 years that we've seen the Vikings play football, this is probably the 4th best team that we've seen, because they've been extremely talented. And you can tell that this ball club, I don't think, is as good as the ones they've had in past years.
They're certainly not.
But they're still a very capable football team, and that's what they've shown today.
Yeah, you can't categorize this team with the Mid-American Nazarenes and the Culver Stocktons yet. They're still a team that demands a lot of respect, and if you don't play well, even if you play well, you have a chance of getting beat. You have to play well for 60 minutes to be in the game with these guys.
On first down, a dive play up the middle gets to the 49-yard line, and the Vikings slowly but surely are salting this one away. Final from Carbondale. It's the SMS Bears 17 and Southern Illinois 13.
Oh.
So they hand the Carbondales their first loss of the year in conference play and first loss of the year period, and it was homecoming there.
Now, speaking of getting the conference season off to a good start, good to see the Bears pull that off against a Southern Illinois team that was ranked, about 15th in the country and had beaten Northern Iowa, who was deemed almost invincible by their early season success. Beat them a few weeks ago, so that's a big, big win for the Bears, who had a disappointing week last week.
On the pitch back to Whitley. Whitley's got a big hole. He's inside the 30 and run out of bounds at the 22-yard line. He took that one all the way from the 49 down to the 22-yard line, make it the 21-yard line.
That should top him. Well, he's close to the 200-yard mark now.
So the clock winds up again with 2:25 left to go, and for the second straight year, the Crusaders have had a tough time with a winless team at homecoming.
Well, also, once again, the home team has not won the game on the scoreboard in this series between the Vikings and the Crusaders, and this is getting eerie because the last 2 years the home team has been heavily favored and lost. You got to wonder now.
There's some motion on the right side of the Valley line, and the play is blown dead before it gets underway.
You know, what kind of a rivalry is this where the home team never wins?
I have no idea.
Very strange.
It sure is. Go back to 1989 when Mid-American Nazarene served as the homecoming opposition, and the Crusaders won that one 43-14. Tarkio last year, an 18-6 winner over the Crusaders, and now the Vikings, with less than 2 minutes to go with the football, owning a 24-13 lead. So the Crusaders will have to regroup and hit the road next week to Lamoni, Iowa. Always one of the more fun spots in the Heart of America Conference Tour. So much fun next week, you'll be away on assignment. Whitley gets the draw, has a huge hole that closes up quickly, and the ball is fumbled. Jeff Sager forced the fumble, and the Crusaders recover.
Good play there. Sager stripped the football cleanly from the running back. It went loose, rolled out quite a ways, actually. The Crusaders able to converge on it and get the ball back with 150 up in lights to our right.
Now you're saying that it's possible, and you're right, it is. Break Gavin Miller or Anthony Ray loose on the long pass play, but in order to do that, they'll have to do something that they've been unable to do all afternoon, and that's to spring a man loose and get enough time for the quarterback to get rid of the ball. But there's always that possibility. Snap is poor. Skeens corrals it, steps up. He's going to fire it out. Ray is there at the 44-yard line and gets nailed. And they give him progress at the 43. Left the turf at the 44, came down about the 43-yard line before being driven back. And with a minute 42 to go, they'll move the chains as the pass is complete. Good for 18 yards on the pass completion. Skeens had to pick the ball off his right ankle and roll to the near side of the field before getting that pass play away and complete. Clock's going to start again, and Skeens will take the snap. Back to pass, has three wide receivers to the far side. He's looking for Gavin Miller, and as Skeens gets dropped on his wallet, Miller has the ball float over his head out of bounds at the Valley 45-yard line.
Well, that time, Roosevelt Daniels, the nose guard, was the one that nailed Skeens, and you're not going to believe this. He beat two guys. He beat two blockers up front, stepped around them both, and then popped Skeens good with the shoulder pads, and pass was incomplete.
That's where it seems like the battle has been won for the Vikings today.
It has. I mean, if you could have a bottom line statement, that's it.
I mean, it's been really obvious today that that's where the battle has been fought and won. Again, a high snap. Skeens corrals it, steps up, fires over the middle, and throws it right to a Viking defender at the 43-yard line. He was looking for Gavin Jones over the middle, and there's Johnny Dodge, the inside linebacker, who was back in pass coverage, and that's going to be the interception.
Well, he was sort of a nice interception by Dodge. Had to leap up in the air to make that, but threw into zone coverage. The man was double covered right there. Dodge leaped up, able to make a nice interception. I don't think Skeens ever saw him because Jones was open, but man right in his way.
Whitley gets the handoff, and Greg Evenson corrals him, or excuse me, it was not Whitley. It was one of the reserve running backs for the Vikings. One of a number of changes that Missouri Valley has made. Larry Williams, 5'6" freshman out of St. Peters, Missouri, gets corralled, and the Crusaders are going to take a timeout with 1:19 to go. 24-13. The Vikings on top of the Crusaders, and we'll be back in 30 seconds.
I'd like to remind you that the Crusaders will return home 2 weeks from today, October 19th. They will host conference opponent Baker University. Game time is 7:30 here at Plaster Sports Complex. Thank you.
Rob Evans along with Ed Beach back at the Plaster Sports Complex on the SMS campus. 24-13. The Vikings of Missouri Valley on top of the Crusaders, and homecoming 1991 is just about over with as Larry Williams gets the ball once again, and he is going to get out to the 44-yard line. He'll pick up 2, and it'll be second down and 9 yards to go, make it third down and 9. But those numbers are academic, and the Crusaders are going to use yet another timeout with 1:13 to go.
Still have one more to burn. Evangel does. No, Rob, this is the first game all season where Evangel has never had a lead.
And probably the first time, and I know football teams, you have ups and downs during the course of the season, but this is the first time that, and I hate to use the word underachieve because it's connotations, but yet the Crusaders just have not played up to the potential that we know they can play to, that we've seen them play to earlier this year. This has just been the first time that they look like they've been emotionally flat coming out. And that's unusual for an Evangel ball club.
Well, the coaching staff did not like the loss, the 10-point loss at Midwestern State, but the Crusaders played hard, played pretty well, had a chance to win the ball game, and it was just a tough road loss, just one of those things. And this one, though, they can't be happy about at all because this is a totally different type of loss.
The Midwestern State loss and Missouri Valley, or in the William Jewell loss, two of the same. I mean, you could see good things to build from. There's not been a lot that you could classify as being something good to build on this week. Williams gets the call, big hole in the draw play, cuts to the outside. He's into Crusader territory, inside the 35 to the 34-yard line. That kind of puts some icing on the cake as far as the Vikings are concerned. That's going to be good for 21 yards on the play. And with 1:04 to go, the Vikings have another first down. But this ball game, like we say, the ball club looked like they came out flat. The Vikings were able to dominate the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, and therein lied the ball game. Ron Rico Robinson comes back in. We'll see if the Vikings are able to sustain this next week, because a lot of times as Missouri Valley takes too much time as they get to the huddle, John Wooden is always fond of saying that for every emotional high you have an equally emotional low.
Yeah.
And we'll see if the Vikings were playing on emotion or if they were capable of doing.
They play open.
Well, this is a good week, I guess, to get emotionally up then. Who do they play the week after that?
They're at Mid-American Nazarene, which is as good as open.
Yeah.
Then they're home against Culver Stockton for homecoming, so they should be 3-0 before they go to William Jewell, and then really a tough 3 games to end their season. But you know, they get momentum going into those games, and you have to like their chances. 2 of the 3 are at home, Baker and Graceland.
Serta is going to fall back into the victory offense, and that's going to be it. And you can hear the Vikings start to celebrate already. This was a big emotional win, one that they wanted. And the faithful from Marshall Moe are giving their ball club a rousing cheer. And the near sideline is very, very quiet.
Yeah, Rob, even if they don't do much the rest of the way, they have to feel good about this one game and about the fact that, if they didn't accomplish anything else this season, they got the Crusaders back for whipping them in Marshall a year ago and knocking them out of that number 1 spot. There it is.
24-13. That's our final. The Vikings win it, and we'll be back. Take a look at the scoring recap on this one after this 2-minute timeout on KLFJ.